So now it's been really a long time since I began, and so I'm far down the path. And I think if you go down this path and you start to look and you say, well, that's an interesting phenomenon, you can see the relationship between hydrology and vegetation and biological life. And you realize that, well, actually that's the basis of the air and the natural water system. And it's how the atmosphere and the hydrological cycle were created and how they were constantly renewed. And then you come to places like this, which are massively degraded, and you realize that people aren't thinking about this ecological function. They're ignoring the science that we know about this, and they're believing that what's important is to produce something. But actually, that's not what's the most important thing right now. The most important thing for survival and sustainability for humanity is that places, not just individual places, but the entire planet is functional. If we understand how the natural evolutionary processes work, and we emulate those, and we don't disturb those by our behaviors, we can live in the Garden of Eden.
Another example from Liu's film, Hope in a Changing Climate, is Ethiopia, where he also took his camera to investigate. Ethiopia is the perfect example of how vulnerable man is to environmental catastrophe. The problems in this country are only intensified by wars and civil conflict. And now the man-induced climate change seems to increase the misery even further. As on the lush plateau, centuries of agriculture have destroyed nearly all natural vegetation. The dry gullies are marked by heavy floods.
These gullies are evidence of the enormous power of runoff during the rainy season. Without vegetation cover on the hillsides, when the rains come, the water doesn't soak into the ground but flows away in a flood. Then it's not available for agriculture during the rest of the year. This leads to drought, and famously for Ethiopia, famine. But just as I've witnessed in China, there is hope that the situation here can be reversed. Yeah, that root could survive? No. In just 6 years, Professor Legessa Nagash and local villagers have transformed a severely eroded terrain by planting indigenous trees and plants. Almost miraculously, a clear flowing stream has emerged where once there was a muddy trickle. How is it that it's possible for you to get the stream to flow throughout the year?
It is because of the vegetation cover, which has been regenerating on this mountain. This water is maintaining the landscape because as soon as rain falls on the canopy on this vegetation, that rain then infiltrated gradually into the ground, ending up with this steady flow of this river. Water is life. Without water, nobody can do anything. I'm amazed, as short as 5 years, 6 years, you get clean water like this, provided you work hard for restoring this degraded landscape.